dressed up in red and yellow. It's Jo, Jo Jingles. Wave hello to Jo. Hello, Jo Jingles. Are you ready to go? He has songs to sing and drums to beat. You can clap your hands and tap your feet with Jo, Jo Jingles. It's a musical treat.
Hello everybody and welcome to the second episode of Jo Jingles and Jo's pod. I'm thrilled to be back, and we are thrilled as a network to be back, as well as all the children across the UK in schools. So that kind of brings us into why our theme today is back to school. Thinking about my own back to school experience, I had one where basically I went into school and I remembered we had PE in the afternoon, and I realised I was wearing my brother's school trousers. So that was interesting. Wasn't ready, wasn't prepared, as you say. So yeah, just something that kind of left me a bit scarred, to be honest. But today, what we've got the wonderful Lucy, who is our franchisee support manager, and we also have Andreas, who is also part of the networks. Lucy and Andreas, do you want to say hello to our listeners? So, Andreas, do you want to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everyone. I'm Andreas. I have been part of the Jo Jingles network for 16 years now. And I have to be honest, I can't remember my school experience. But I can relate. I can relate with Lukas. I'm sure I have done something like this as well.
It could just be a male thing, Andreas, that we
Lukas, yeah.
And Lucy.
Hi everyone, I'm Lucy. I've been with Jo Jingles now for over 20 years. Was a franchisee and now franchise support manager. So been with the network for a long time. I don't think I really remember much about my school days because that was a very long time ago. My daughter is at school, and it was cracking me up the other day because they were saying that they went to swimming and all the boys had come back with different shoes on, and they all had the same shoes, but they were all different sizes. And I was like, how did you manage to walk all the way back from swimming with the wrong shoes on? So yeah, there's some classics going on out there, but nothing personally for me. No.
So we just thought it'd be a great opportunity to share with you some insights into routine, helping you as parents get out the door through music and movement. So we are talking about how music and movement can really make a difference as children go back to school. And Lucy and Andreas, you have both seen firsthand how these tools help the children settle into routines, boost their confidence, and make learning fun. So without further ado, let's dive into our first topic, which is starting the school year with a rhythm. So, Lucy, you've worked with loads of families. What are some common challenges children face when getting back to school in their routines?
I think obviously it's where they've had all that time off over the summer, and then suddenly they've got to get themselves out of bed and get back into the routine of being back in school. And obviously for parents, it's really hard as well because, you know, if you've got one or more kids, then obviously you've got to get back into that way of getting up at a certain time, making breakfast, getting out of the house on time, getting to school on time. And it's the same it's for groups as well, because obviously as soon as you've done your trip to school, you're then moving on to dropping off the little one to go to Jo Jingles, taking part in the classes, and obviously we have to get back into that whole flow. So yeah, it is difficult, I think, after summer, and we all like a lie-in, and we all like not having to get up and follow everything in the routine. But then some people really like routine, don't they? So it's important to them, and I guess from a really young age, we teach that through the music and classes. And I think that's what's really good, because you need to have routine in your life to be able to get through. And then we have those holidays to relax and not worry about the routine. So yeah, there's lots of positives.
So in regards to that, then, Lucy, what kind of things kind of ease that transition using music? Why does that have such an impact?
Well, I think in the classes, I mean, I remember doing some favourite ones like wake up and stretch in the morning, and then they do lots of different actions. They would do like jump out of bed, then they brush their teeth, get their clothes on, and then it's time to, hurry off to school, or do songs about eating their porridge for breakfast or whatever else they might be doing in the class. So all those kind of things, we start from like the beginning of the classes. So it sort of teaches them to have a go at doing those things, because even when you're going to nursery and preschools and all that kind of stuff, you still need to have those in place, don't you? Those basic things that they start to do. So yeah, I'm sure Andreas has got loads of other ones, but that's the ones that I really remember doing and finding it's just really good to get them up and going in the morning at the start of a class.
Perfect. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Andreas, what kind of things can you share that you know that in your classes you use or families use to help that morning routine? Because I think, Lucy, you're saying that that's the routine, but maybe it's actually our evening routine. What kind of things you got?
I think, well, one of the basically songs that we do at Jo Jingles is the Good Morning song, and that's where the children basically know that the class is actually starting, and there are lots, and this is where, depending obviously on what ages that you have, that you can do various things. For example, if I do a class with preschoolers, what I encourage to do, obviously after not the first week, but the second week, I give them Joe and I encourage them to pass it around, which basically means that they are learning to look after the character, but also share with a friend. So obviously sometimes I ask them to get up and actually go to the person, which actually make them come together, make friends basically in a way that they don't realize, but they are making friends this way. With obviously the toddlers and the babies, especially with the babies that they cannot move, I basically take Joe with them so they get familiar with the character. And obviously, as they keep coming back, it creates that familiarity, and then you start getting smiles, then you start getting high fives, then you start getting cuddles and all these things. And that's what routine, as Lucy said, is that routine, that the familiarity, that it makes them feel safe. And when they feel safe, they obviously become much more confident. And when they become more confident, they enjoy more, and obviously they have more fun.
I mean, you've kind of moved ahead, because section 2 of the podcast is about building confidence. So yeah, you've smashed it because you're going ahead. But I mean, it's really interesting, that routine, and how you explain how children feeling safe in an environment. And I suppose for our listeners, we probably want to identify how we can make that routine a bit easier through music. And it's really interesting because I actually read something about 2 weeks ago. It was a statistic, so I will try to find where I got it from. But that the children that incorporate routines and music together are 32% likely to learn faster as well. So is that a surprise to you two?
No.
No. Well, it was for me. So why is that not a surprise with obviously your knowledge?
Lucy, do you want to go first?
Well, obviously, as I've said to you before, there's a really good book out there called Music Makes Your Child Smarter. And when we first met the guy at a conference many years ago now called Philip Shepherd, who wrote the book, he actually said, when I first started my research, it was called Music Might Make Your Child Smarter or something like that. And then by the end of it, he changed the wording to Music Can Make Your Child Smarter, because it was 100% proven through all of the experiments that he did through music. So it was quite fascinating. So yeah, for me, it's just anything you put words to. Because I mean, how many songs can you sit there and go, I know all the words to these songs? And how many bits of like poetry do you know all the words to? Probably a handful. So there is definitely truth in that, because it's just, once there's a tune, there's a rhythm, it's easy to pick that up, it's easy to remember. And then obviously you can teach whatever you want to through that. So teaching colours, teaching numbers, about animals. It just becomes so much more easier when there's a rhythm and there's something to sing along to. From my
Yeah, I think that's probably what resonates, and yeah, it does make sense actually. I was actually sitting here thinking, I can think of a few songs, but I cannot think of one poem that I can remember recite off by heart. So yeah, it's really interesting, and it just kind of cements that why Jo Jingles is so important as well to come to, or just getting music and routine within those days. Daily activities. So yeah.
How many songs do you reckon you know, Andreas? It's got to be a few thousand, do you reckon?
Sorry,
know all the How many songs do you reckon you know all the words to? Because I reckon it's quite a lot.
All the Jo Jingles ones.
It's about what, 2,000 songs or something like that? It's something ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, it's funny to say that, because I think one good thing about obviously music, and because we use obviously some very catchy music.
Yeah.
And I have lots of parents that they always say to me, "Oh, I always hear this song in my mind all the time." And I remember this when I first started, and obviously I have lots of songs to remember, but they keep stuck in my head, and they're going round and round and round and round. Even now, I have two daughters. They're 19 and 15. They keep telling me that, all these songs that I still sing them in my head anyway. They tell me all the time. But I think, I mean, we know music is it's a mood booster, and it's an instant mood booster. It's a mood changer, and everyone has a rhythm. One of the things that I do in class, as soon as I go in, before anybody comes, I put the music on before I even set up, because it sort of gets me into the mood. And then as the children come in, I leave the music on and I watch them as they come and sit down. And instinctively, as soon as they sit down, they start moving.
Yeah, popping away.
So exactly. So they have this already, and they start humming words. And you don't have to have a Jo Jingle song. You can make your own song anyway out of the routine. It doesn't have to be a specific song. Just hum and do a song. Potty training, anything.
Yeah, eating, yeah, definitely. And I mean that really brings me on to our next part of the podcast. And I suppose a child walking into a Jo Jingles class with you, Andreas, and you're saying that they can just sit down and bob about. Is that because they're getting more confidence? I mean, we've touched on it before, but is there a connection between building confidence? Is there something from your experience? What do you think?
I mean, as I think, and for me as well, I look at it every day. Music is one of those things that we are lucky actually to have in our lives, because it can, as I said before, it can change your mood instantly. And you are sad sometimes, you hear a piece of music and totally change your mood, and it can go the other way. Having this before a child comes in, because obviously you don't know what's happening in their world, in a sense. So when they come in and they hear a familiar song that they know, instantly they will react to it. They will feel more comfortable. And obviously each child is different. There are children that they can get something straight away. There are children that they can wait. You wait, for example, for 6 weeks. But normally, and I always say this to the parents, you have to give time for your child to settle. You don't expect them to start jumping up and down the minute they come to the class. There are children that they can sit back and watch first what everybody's doing, because they have to, as they sit and they watch everyone, they're basically starting to put things together. Is it safe for me to do this? What's going to happen if I do this? They start to connect. And when we are there as sort of leaders and educators, we have to try to encourage them, praise them if they do something, and educate them, so we can all experience the same thing together. And not only the children, the parents as well. For me, it's very important for the parents to take part, because they are there. And the first thing, obviously, the children will see, but they know I'm having fun because I'm there and I'm doing it. But if the parents show that they're having fun, it's obviously much more likely that they will take their children as well with them. And I'm sure Lucy can
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think the thing is that actually you do see a change in some of the parents as well, don't you? Because actually it can be quite nerve-wracking walking into a class and not knowing people, not knowing the songs, and thinking you're going to have to get up and sing something all on your own and do a solo or something. But once you become at ease by the teacher, you see the kids having fun, you realise that it's an environment that is for nurturing and for bringing people together, you suddenly change completely. And so you see a change in the parents as well as the children. But I think what, for me, for confidence wise, I think what is amazing is when you start off with babies from like 3 months old, and then you see them as they grow up into like the walkers, and they suddenly start coming up to the instrument box and collecting their own instrument, or collecting their prop or whatever it might be. And there's that progression from one age group to the next, but it also shows how much confidence has grown in them for them to be able to do that themselves. And then shouting the answers out when you're asking questions in class, you know, like you're saying to them, you know, what animals on the wall today, or what do you think we might be doing for our theme? And then they start shouting out loads of stuff, and you think they just suddenly have gained that confidence, that little shy person who wouldn't even get off their mat the first few weeks and that kind of things. Yeah, there's a huge amount of growth within classes, just from becoming a small baby up to when they might be 5 years old and still with you.
And does that happen within a class? I mean, I've been fortunate enough to go and watch a couple of Jo Jingles classes and other music and movement groups across the UK. And one thing with Jo Jingles was when we went to go and visit Jo in Leicestershire, she had a new child, and very shy at the beginning, like really clingy to mum, very understandable. By the end of the session, she was going in and taking the instruments from Jo, who's trying to put them away, which made me chuckle. Because I was like, oh my God. So you do see that, don't you? It actually within the session.
Every day, I see it every day. One other thing that I noted as well, not necessarily in classes, but when I visit, obviously, but I visit early years as well. When I go to early years and I do sessions, I can definitely identify children that they have gone to a structure class, not necessarily Jo Jingles, but a structure class. The way sort of they communicate, the way they sit down, the way they listen into instructions. I can clearly see that they have that prior experience of a class like that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So that's really good to kind of know, because as a parent, I suppose that's what we want to see, is to understand what's happening. So yeah, okay. So really quickly, before we go into our song, or into our routine song that we're going to show off today, what's your best practical tip, Andreas, for a parent who struggles, not themselves to get out of bed, but getting their child into the morning routine?
Well, if they can incorporate song, and as I said before, it doesn't have to be a specific song. It can be anything. They can hum it, they can do it together, they can even clap their, anything that they can help them sort of make that morning routine fun. It will help immensely.
Amazing. Thank you, Andreas. So listeners, if you are kind of taking some advice, then there's some practical advice there, which is to incorporate some music into a routine and get that going. So what we're going to do now, we're going to leave it in regards to that conversation. When we come back in a second, Andreas and Lucy are going to get some quick fire questions, really quick, and then we'll be kind of looking into our next podcast. So yes, here we go.
Let's be tidy, put your toys away. Let's be tidy, put your toys away. If you're nice and tidy at the end of every day, you'll know where your toys are when next you want to play. Let's be tidy, put your toys away. Let's be tidy, put your toys away. If you're nice and tidy at the end of every day, you'll know where your toys are when next you want to play.
Thank you and welcome back to Jo's pod. That was our Tidy Up Time song. So I thought it'd be really good to share that song so you have some practical advice as our listeners. You can use this song. And Andreas, what's your top tip of when and how to use this song?
Well, you can use this song when you tidy your toys away, or when you tidy your clothes away too.
Okay, so basically tidy up time. Okay, amazing. So, as promised, some quick fire questions. These are just a bit of fun, so nothing too serious. Andreas, you're going to go first. Okay. What's your go-to dance like nobody's watching song? You can give us a hum or a sing if you want.
Wait, is that a Jo Jingles song or any song?
No, any song. Any song. Quick. It's got to be quick.
Yes. I don't know. You caught me on off guard now.
I can answer it. Insomnia by Faithless. Every time.
Oh, yeah, there you go, Lucy.
Yeah, but I don't care if people are watching. Don't bother me. I still dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, I can vouch for that, Lucy. What's the silliest song lyric you've ever heard a child make up in class?
Oh.
Ooh.
Wow. There is the one that has chocolate in it, I think. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I didn't realise these were hard. I thought they'd be nice.
Yeah, well, it's hard.
Okay.
My dad drives a chocolate car or something like that, isn't it?
No.
I'm sure there is a variation of it.
Okay.
Or a rusty car.
If you had to pick one musical instrument to carry with you everywhere for a week, what would it be?
Maracas.
Maracas. That would cause... Yeah, you can do quite a lot of that. No, thank you very much, you two. That was really just a little bit of fun. So just to kind of summarise as much as we can and give as much practical advice to our listeners as possible, what kind of things we've gone through? Confidence, we've gone through routines and how that has such a good impact on our children. Is there like a closing statement you'd like to make that kind of really resounds with you and how everything's worked?
Create that anticipation, especially if you're going to go to a class. It doesn't have to be a class. Anyway, even if you want to go to the supermarket, if you start singing relevant songs, create that anticipation, because the child obviously will get excited that if you start singing songs about, let's go to the supermarket, for example, or then he creates an anticipation and the child looks forward to actually going there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, thank you, Andreas. I think that's a real great tip for all parents out there. Making something boring fun. I suppose that's the main thing there, isn't it? So, but yeah, thank you again, Andreas. Andreas, as mentioned before, does his classes in Peterborough and Stamford. We will be giving you a link to his Facebook page so you can have a quick look on there and just see if there's anything. And do reach out if you have any questions. Obviously, Lucy's head office, so just reach out to head office and we'll be able to support as much as possible. So our next pod is going to be with a teacher. A teacher from a primary school, and we're just going to start exploring why music and movement classes at this age can have such a great impact for children who are coming into primary school. So I'm really looking forward to that. So keep tuned and see you next time. I'm going to leave you with our Jo Jingles song. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Say goodbye, say goodbye, say goodbye, say goodbye, say goodbye, say goodbye, Say goodbye. Say goodbye. 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 Say 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 goodbye. 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 Goodbye.